President Biden, though, he is at the White House this morning. He generated a little bit of controversy, though, yesterday when he was up in Massachusetts. He was giving a speech about climate change, and then he started to pivot just a little bit, talking about how pollution was impacting his health. Take a listen.
The first frost, you know what was happening. You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
But not long after the speech wrapped up, White House officials told Fox that the president was referring to the past removal of skin cancer and that he wasn't trying to reference cancer in the present tense. Certainly raised a lot of eyebrows. And while the president claimed it was pollution that caused some of his problems, a 2021 medical report found that it was well established that the president did spend a good deal of time in the sun in his youth and that he had several localized non-melanoma skin cancers removed before he started his presidency. So we'll see if the president has anything new to say on that. He's going to be back on the road today, heading up to Pennsylvania. He's going to be talking about efforts to address both gun violence and rising crime, not only in cities nationwide, but in communities coast to coast. We're already seeing some new polling that shows Americans aren't necessarily thrilled with what they've heard. Mayor is finding that 58% of people disapprove of the president's job performance, with only 36% approving. And maybe even more shocking, Quinnipiac had a poll that just came out that showed some 70% of people don't want President Biden to run for re-election, although the president says he has all intentions of running again and would even welcome another challenge, former President Donald Trump. So Steve, Ainsley, and Brian, the president says he wants to do this again. I wonder if Peter wants to get back out on the campaign trail. He may want to stay here in D.C.
Well, he was in Saudi Arabia until like early Monday, so he's pooped. Mark, the good news is the president does not have cancer, even though he said that. But has he ever linked oil refiners to his skin growths that he had removed via Mohs surgery?
Not that I'm aware of, and that was what kind of caught so many people off guard, is that the president would say something like that so casually. But the White House really tried to put out those flames right away, saying that they weren't trying to make any news here, that the president is obviously in good health, and that he was just referencing what he experienced in his past. But of course, there are a lot of people that look at this.
So it was just a mistake.
That's what I would imagine what the White House would sum it up. And then, you know,
That's
the president, maybe he'll reference it today as he heads up to
Mark,
Pennsylvania, or maybe he'll wish Peter a happy birthday.
Mark, I did get a little tickled when he was trying to introduce all of the congressmen and women that were there, and he introduced Congressman Auchincloss. He said, Jake Auchincloss, where are you? Where is she? Where is she? And then he realized it's a man, and his name is Jake. And then he tried to pronounce his name and called him Auchincloss Sauce.
I've seen this at different political rallies, because, you know, they have the teleprompter. It doesn't matter, you know, which party the person's in. They're trying to read off of these supporters, but odds are, you know, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction. So I can imagine when you're trying to read off the prompter, maybe in the glaring sun, it can be a little tough to see. But you're right, that stood out. And of course, you have to wonder what that person's like, what they feel like when their name's mispronounced, because they always say the most important to think so many people is their name. So Steve, Ainsley, and Brian, I will get it right for you guys.
Nicely done, Mark.
Mark, thanks a lot. The one thing the president did stop short of declaring a national emergency when it comes to climate change. Next week, he'll use executive orders when it comes to climate change. Is he going to stop all drilling? Is he going to stop all offshore drilling? Is he going to limit the number of gas stations nationwide that are allowed to be built, like they stopped building them over in California? You know, you would think he might have he evidently he could use the Defense Production Act to do an emergency building of high electric heat pumps, or solar panel manufacturing. I mean, what is he going to do? And the thing is, this really does cut on party lines. The Pew Research asked, you know, do you look at climate change as a major problem? Only 16% of Republicans answered yes, 63% for Democrats. And that's saying that things are good economically. Things are challenging, and one of the main reasons is energy. Is this the time to ask China to give us more solar panels?
Well, so the good news is he does not have cancer. It was just another gaffe. When you look at the gaffes over the last year, it was in September that he told Jewish leaders he remembered spending time and going to the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh after the mass murder in 2018. Turns out he never visited that. Apparently, the White House later said he was thinking about a phone call he had with the rabbi there at the time. Then in September, Joe told an Idaho audience that his first job offer was from the paper and wood company Boise Cascade. They said, that's news to us. In January, he told students at historically black colleges that he was arrested during the civil rights protests. No evidence that ever happened. And of course, in May, in Annapolis, he said that he was appointed to the Naval Academy in 1965, but there is no evidence of that appointment. So it was just a gaffe. He was out there. It was hot in Massachusetts. He made a mistake.
He loves to tell those stories.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.